add just two examples to the list of times where sovereign governments have been sued in the world by the World Trade Organization.
Sure, go ahead.
One is Jose Mujica in Uruguay, being sued by Philip Morris for trying to protect Uruguayans from the dangers of tobacco. They were sued, and I think they lost. They had to pay $200 million, I believe, was the fine.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, just because they wanted to cover the tobacco products with pictures to people.
Like Australia had done, yes.
Like Australia had done. And it was all about future profits. This is going to hurt our future profits. And
does everybody understand that one?
No.
So if you buy cigarettes now in Australia, I mean, you know, if you bought them, I'm not saying people here are buying them, but if you did, on the back it has pictures of what happens to people, like if you had lung cancer, stuff like that. So Philip Morris, using their subsidiary in Singapore, because our agreement with Australia doesn't have investor state in it. It's the only one, virtually the only one in 30 years not to have that provision. Because Australia at the time had a Labour government and they wouldn't agree to it. But Singapore had an agreement with Australia, and they used the Singapore agreement, or Hong Kong, I forget which one it is now, and they sued under that because they had a subsidiary there. And then secondly, they sued Uruguay. This was not just bad for Uruguay or Australia. In the UK itself, they did not go ahead and pass plain package, it's called plain package cigarette labeling, because they would be sued as well.
Right, it creates a precedent.
Yes.
And then there's the issue in El Salvador, and I heard about it in the beginning, but then it sort of disappears, and it's very hard to, because they don't like to publish these things. So in El Salvador, there was a mining company that was going to damage the river. Now, there's very few things where the Arena government and the FMLN government can find any agreement. But the one thing they had agreement was that if you drill here, this is going, or you mine in this area, you are going to contaminate the river. If the river, this is the only source of clean water, so they refused. Again, they were sued in this secret court, and again, they lost. So what we've seen is this, the growth of Pluton.
There's 500 of these cases pending right now around the world. 500.
I mean, that's mind-boggling. It's an insane. It's a complete loss of sovereignty. I mean, we saw in the structural adjustment programs in the 80s the foreshadowing of the loss of sovereignty in many ways as the power of capital eats away the power of people. And so we've got to fight back. So that's my question for you. You are a leader in fighting back. You have led the CWA. You have led. You're now leading our revolution. We've got to expand. I mean, it's hard to think of what is going to be enough public power, sufficient public power, not only to stop this, but to start to reverse these very socially deleterious procedures that have been happening. How can we stop this together? I mean, a general strike, how do we mobilize for a general strike?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the kind of thing we need.
Yeah.
Massive.
It's a good idea, but we need a lot of organizing before that.
Right.
I'll sign up for your general strike any day. But it's about the next month, so there's an answer.
Right.
So we're trying to micro-target, we can use that word, swing congressional votes in the House, because again, the Senate seems out of reach for us to get 51 senators to vote no on this. They had 61 a year ago. So percentage-wise, it's pretty much out of reach, although Tim Kaine has switched as vice presidential candidate. He's now against it. And that's a good thing. I mean, we could be sarcastic about it, but we need every vote. But anyway, the Senate is pretty much out of reach. But the House isn't. And so we have a list of about 45 Democratic House members that we're working on, and we're going to come back to what we can do. And there's an equal number of about 45 Republicans, because a lot of Republicans are voting against this. And obviously, it was passed mainly with Republicans, even though the president was a Democrat. So when they passed, what I mean by passed, fast track passed, mainly with Republican votes. 85% of House Democrats voted no, 160 out of 188. It was reversed the other way with Republicans. We got about 40 voting no, and the rest voted yes. But a lot of those Republicans, I have to look up his name, I forgot it now, but in Illinois, one of the Republicans just 3 days ago reversed and said, I'm voting no. So we're micro-targeting. There's a way to win this. And we can talk more about what we want to do here in Iowa in a couple of minutes. Brother?
What was the new information and new argument that flipped Hillary Clinton?
Well, that's what Bernie Sanders